this? No way! He just gave me enchanted netherite weapons!
People who cheat in their Minecraft speedruns are hilarious because they're terrible at hiding the fact that they cheated. These are the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns.
Alright, this speedrun, their microphone is absurd.
Alright, we just spawned in.
What are you using, a toaster oven to record? Anyways, if I freeze frame here, there is a lot we need to talk about. The first thing is their world loads unbelievably quickly, and their timer is starting even though they didn't begin their speedrun, which is weird, but whatever. But wait, there's more. Top left of the screen, I'm sorry, but is that a farmer just looking directly at the ground? What in tarnation? And then this is the last thing just for now. That tree has different kinds of leaves on it. All of those weird things aside, everything else looks very normal. So the speedrunner approaches this tree in front of them, they break it, and then they make a crafting table. And then they make a hoe to break the tree. Buddy, have you ever heard of an axe?
This is the most efficient. Don't question me. Otherwise, I'm gonna hit you in the head with a potato.
I'm sorry, did he just say I'm gonna hit you in the head with the potato? Alright, I'm confused, but let's move on. Is this guy okay? Well, after the speedrunner spends a good 10 seconds clearing their throat, they approach... I'm not sure what this is. Well, what is this, a mini beach biome? I have never in my entire experience of Minecraft seen sand just hanging out.
Some sort of beachy structure here.
Yeah, so the speedrunner says this is some sort of beachy structure, and then they begin to dig down into the sand. And they find a boat with a chest on it. Their reaction to it is so funny.
We're just gonna... Oh my goodness, a boat? What?
They find cooked salmon, they find a leather tunic, iron ingots, diamond, and iron sword. While this is legitimate loot for a buried chest, it would not show up in an oak boat with a chest. Yeah, dum-dum. Well, the speedrunner takes their newly found loot and then they say this.
I need this boat later, just a hunch. I don't know.
Yeah, I might need this boat later, just a hunch. I don't know. I am scared to find out what they're gonna use that boat for.
Sorry guys, my pet goldfish was going for a walk and I had to stop him.
I'm sorry, did the speedrunner just say my pet goldfish was gonna go for a walk and I had to stop him? I'm so confused. Let's just move on. After that, the speedrunner finds a ruined nether portal, which is very, very lucky. They open up the chest, there's 2 axes, golden ingots, golden blocks, fire charges. This is fantastic news. But hang on a second there, buddy. Tell me if you just noticed that. I'm gonna play it again, I'm not gonna point it out, just tell me if you noticed it.
With all this good stuff in the chest.
Did you see it this next time around? You still didn't? Okay, let me help you out. If I go frame by frame, there is the most subtle cut where the amount of obsidian that is in front of them just multiplies magically. And I gotta say, that cut was so subtle, I barely noticed it. Well, anyways, then the speedrunner crafts a diamond pickaxe so that they can mine this obsidian and complete the ruined nether portal. But hang on a second. You tell me, how did they just make a diamond pickaxe? Because if I rewind just a minute ago, the speedrunner had 2 diamonds. So the only thing I can assume is that during that very slight cut, they also gave themselves 1 extra diamond. Yeah, you think you're slick, buddy? Well, the speedrunner legitimately wastes about a whole minute just mining that obsidian. You gotta do what you gotta do. They realize that they can use the fire charges to light the nether portal, so they do that and they enter the nether. But when they enter the nether, their reaction to what is about to happen is just so funny.
Oh my goodness, that's the most rare nether fortress bastion never before seen.
I'm not sure what it is, but the what just makes me chuckle. Yeah, this is a nether fortress conjoined into a bastion. Is this possible? I don't even know. Anyways, the speedrunner creates a shield, and then they enter the bastion or the nether fortress. I'm not really sure what they're entering. After just a few seconds of exploring, the speedrunner immediately comes across a blaze spawner. Now, I don't know if you noticed this earlier, but if I go frame by frame, the golden axe they're using actually has Fortune 3, which is really gonna come in handy. After about a minute or 2 of fighting the blazes, they have 5 blaze rods, but unfortunately they are at half a heart and about to die. And then the speedrunner says this.
I am half a heart, this is not looking good. I might have to put in my resignation now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put in my resignation. I don't know why, it just made me laugh. Well, the speedrunner bucks up, they eat their cooked salmon, and they make a run for it. They get 1 more blaze rod, and at a world record pace of 6 minutes, they run into a piglin in the fortress bastion. And these next few moments are so wildly hilarious because the speedrunner is just screaming at the piglin to get in the hole. I don't know what it is. I am crying from laughing. Just watch this.
Get in the hole. Get in the hole, piglin. Get in the hole! Get in the hole!
that it cuts to the piglet just suddenly being in a hole is priceless. You cannot make this up. Well, anyways, the piglin is now in the hole. The speedrunner gives 26 gold ingots to the piglin. And again, what you can hear from the speedrunner's microphone is so funny during this trading process.
String? Are you kidding me? I'm not a spider. What am I gonna do with string? Brick. What did I tell you about the brick? I don't need more brick. Oh my goodness, there's ender pearls down there. I didn't even see them. Why didn't you say something to me? You were just giving me brick the whole time and there's ender pearls.
The way the speedrunner just gradually gets so frustrated by their poor trades, and the footage just cuts to, oh, okay, there's ender pearls. That's fantastic news. Well, the speedrunner does get 4 ender pearls, and they craft Eyes of Ender. But they put a charge in their crafting box. Buddy, have you never created an Eye of Ender before? This is priceless. Now, hang on a second. I'm gonna show that clip to you again when they're crafting, and tell me if you noticed what just happened.
My 4 Eyes of Ender. And, yeah.
Alright, you still didn't see it? Let me go frame by frame. Take a look at how I go frame by frame. On the right side of the screen, you can see their sword. But on the next frame, it's a completely different moment. It was a very subtle cut that I barely even noticed myself. But what's different here? They still have 4 Eyes of Ender. Everything seems normal, right? I'm gonna pause it here. Do things still seem normal? Nope. They suddenly have 10 Eyes of Ender. So the only thing we can assume is that there was a very sudden cut. The speedrunner decided, I want more Eyes of Ender, so they just dropped them on the ground in creative mode and cut it all out. Come on, do you think we're bozos? So with 10 Eyes of Ender, the speedrunner returns to the overworld. Then they break a tree and they jump into the ocean. But wait a second, what in the world is that? It's very clear to see that there is an ocean monument in the ocean, but above the sea level, what? Is this a new structure that I just haven't heard of? I think I missed a few updates. Well, the speedrunner swims towards this structure. Once the speedrunner reaches this beachy structure, you can hear them say this.
Luckily, I saved this boat. Might need this boat for falling down a hole, perhaps.
Luckily, I saved this boat. I might need this boat for falling down a hole, perhaps. Gee, I wonder if there's a hole beneath them. So now that the speedrunner has conveniently fallen down into this hole, you can hear them say this.
I really just needed some iron.
Yeah, I really just needed some iron. But you know what? Let's watch them mine this iron and just see what happens here.
And oh my goodness, would you look at that, the portal room?
Their reaction to falling into the portal room is just so goofy. Well, yeah, that all happened very quickly. So the speedrunner fills the portal with eyes and they enter the end. At a world record 12 minutes and 30... Yeah, that's not world record. This guy is literally slower than a legitimate speedrunner. That is just sad. And you could tell they just genuinely have no idea what they are doing. They consume a potion of fire resistance. Why? That is not gonna do anything for you. Then the speedrunner builds up to one of these obelisks to break one of the end crystals, and when they do, there's just the most ridiculous cut. Now listen, some of their cuts in the past have been very subtle, but this one was so blatant, and after this sudden cut, they open their inventory. This speedrunner never in the entire footage got a bow. You can rewind and check for yourself. I'm 99% sure they never picked up a bow, and now they just suddenly have one. And yeah, you hear the speedrunner say this.
Luckily, I got this bow from earlier, like that one time, so...
Luckily, I got this bow earlier that one time. When? Tell me that one time. But the last thing this speedrunner needs is a bow because they are horrible at using it. They proceed to miss every single shot that they take, and then you can hear them saying this.
You guys know I'm one of the best sharpshooters in the nation. Yeah, I'm ranked Diamond Platinum Double 200.
They say that they're Diamond Platinum Double 200. What is that? That's not even a rank. I have no idea what this guy is saying at this point. It's like that one friend who's a know-it-all and they just completely talk out of their rear the whole time. After just missing hundreds of shots, you can hear the speedrunner get frustrated and say that the bow is broken.
You guys know I'm one of the sharpest shooters around. This bow's broken. Come on. Stupid. Finally.
Despite the fact that the speedrunner is genuinely horrible at aiming, they actually are pretty good at water bucket clutches. I'm genuinely surprised. So after they surprisingly do not die from fall damage, they go up to another pillar and they're about to break another crystal. And they miss. Again, what a surprise. But on this next shot, look closely and tell me if you notice what happens.
And if I jump and I hit it, just like that, the end crystal, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's right. If I go frame by frame, All of the other end crystals in sight are also destroyed at the same time. What in tarnation? How is this possible? Well, after these unexplainable events, the speedrunner does another water bucket clutch. Somehow they don't die. I am actually impressed. The speedrunner goes up to the dragon. They actually do a surprising amount of damage while they're just saying the weirdest words possible. They get thrown up in the sky again, and wow, another successful water bucket clutch. I am impressed. And this is when the biggest plot twist occurs. The speedrunner gets their bow out, they take aim, but hang on a second, what are they doing? When the dragon is perched, bow and arrow does nothing.
This is speed. Just like that, the Ender Dragon is defeated.
What in tarnation? The dragon just faded away into dust. I have so many questions. If someone can explain this to me, that would be dandy. I'm not sure why, but this made me crack up. I can hear the speedrunners saying, he's better than Dream, he's better than his cousin Dean.
Better than Dream, better than his cousin Dean.
This guy just says the goofiest stuff ever while he is speedrunning, or cheating at speedrunning. Despite cheating and being so horrible at it though, this guy beat Minecraft at more than double what a legitimate speedrunner would be able to beat the game at. Oh, brother. Alright, so this speedrun, it's a little goofy. They're using Lunar Client, which automatically disqualifies their speedrun. The speedrunner is playing Silent Night. It's Christmas time, but I don't think Santa's coming. The Grinch is coming tonight. The speedrunner is on their way to create their new world. We can clearly see two worlds they've made in the past. Oij Gorge Goy Jurg and Babachu, which I think is the close relative of the Babadook. So the speedrunner creates their new save file, calling it world record, and they put the difficulty on hard, which really isn't necessary, but you know what? I got respect for them. So we have the pleasure of listening to this very beautiful music while the game is loading up, and then there is just a very abrupt cut where the speedrunner is looking down at the ground. They're selecting the third slot in their inventory. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they edited this in Windows Movie Maker. As soon as the speedrunner turns around, there is an altar with an ender chest on it, and the speedrunner is looking around as if like, oh yeah, I don't see this goofy structure I made behind me. You know, what's good around here? There's some trees, there's some grass, the air. Lightning starts striking the ender chest, and then the speedrunner opens the chest, and there is a netherite sword in it named Axe Body Spray. So now I'm getting the feeling that this is one of those speedrunners who's just being random for the sake of being random. Anyways, the speedrunner gets the sword and they walk away. But hang on a second, did you see that just a split second ago? I'm sorry, but what is that? Is that one of the clouds from the Super Mario Brothers games? Did the speedrunner think that it was gonna blend in with the birch trees and we weren't gonna question it? Well, it doesn't matter. In front of them, the speedrunner finds a ruined nether portal. It's looking a little strange, but you know what? Maybe it's believable. I'll give him a chance here. Nope. Okay, so in the chest is 64 TNT blocks. They just right-clicked it, separated it perfectly in two, and then put them in two different spots. This guy's a big stinky cheater. I'm not really sure why, but the speedrunner uses the TNT blocks to build a staircase up to the nether portal, which is like literally playing with fire. That is the stupidest thing someone could do, but okay, I'm gonna roll with it. They use their flint and steel to light the nether portal, and the fire is just like glitched. The fire is not firing right now. And then out of nowhere, I hear the speedrunner say, Herobrine! He calls out to Herobrine. Well, it turns out that the nether portal had one crying obsidian on its frame, and then it disappears and turns into real obsidian. And now the nether portal works. So when the speedrunner enters the nether, there is no loading screen. This is very goofy. But if I freeze frame here, tell me if you notice anything unusual on the screen. Yeah, that's right. There is a second nether portal. What's going on here, buddy? I think you got some explaining to do. And then just playing the speedrun a few seconds more, they are directly above a nether fortress. So I'm just trying to put two and two together here, but it's possible they spawned into one nether portal and made it look like they spawned directly above the nether fortress. I don't know. Well, the speedrunner's next dilemma here is that the nether fortress is right there, blaze rods ripe for the picking. The problem is that if they drop down there, they are going to die. And that's when the speedrunner opens up the chat box. Creative mode, survival mode, invisibility, leaving and joining the game. Aren't they speedrunning on a server? And that's when this happens. Yeah, they're just slamming on their keyboard, going into creative mode, then going into survival mode. And the footage cuts to them being next to a blaze spawner. If you can even consider this a blaze spawner. Yes, that is in fact their friend with a blaze skin on, goofing around. So you know what? Maybe there's a reasonable explanation for this. The blaze gives them blaze rods, and then in true fake speedrun fashion, they fly off into the distance and disappear into the lava. But then there is another sudden cut, and come on. A player with the same username approaches them, but this time with a piglin skin. You couldn't have, oh, I don't know, put in the effort to just hide their username. Well, the speedrunner gives them a single golden nugget, and then the piglin starts shaking its head saying no. The piglin throws the 2 golden nuggets back at the speedrunner. Then the speedrunner gets mad. They hit the piglin. The piglin hits the speedrunner with their sword, and then you are never going to expect this twist of events. The speedrunner gets out the Axe body spray and massacres the piglin, and there's ender pearls all over the ground. That was more dramatic than one of those popular dating TV shows. After another sudden cut, the speedrunner suddenly has a full stack of obsidian blocks, and then they attempt to create a nether portal to return to the overworld. But like every bad fake speedrunner, they create a true abomination. Well, anyways, it just gets weirder. The speedrunner returns to the overworld, and in front of them is a marble staircase leading up to the sky. I have no idea what to expect here. After the speedrunner goes up the staircase, there's a sign in front of them that says low budget with a sad looking face. Could not finish. Ooh, house. And behind them is their friend, playing the role of Herobrine now. So I'm not really sure what the point of this is, because Herobrine just starts tossing netherite blocks at the speedrunner, and then the speedrun footage cuts to them being in a village. The speedrunner approaches a villager with a very large unibrow, and somehow the budget for this fake speedrun really ramped up because there's voice acting now.
Welcome to my loving, beautiful village. Isn't it beautiful? Enjoy your stay.
Well, the speedrunner breaks out the Axe body spray, kills the villager, and there's a sudden cut to them destroying the village? I don't know what is happening here. After completely destroying the village, the speedrunner is searching the rubble, and beneath them, they find a hole. The speedrunner drops down into this hole, and oh my goodness, I cannot believe it, they found the stronghold. No, this is the Walmart Great Value version stronghold. Now, maybe to the untrained eye, you wouldn't see the difference, but me, I'm a professional, and this is painful. At which point, the speedrunner says this.
Bro, how am I gonna take out the crystals?
How am I gonna take out the crystals? Then this goofy sounding music starts playing, and their friend disguised as Herobrine starts running around, flying in the sky, breaking the end crystals for them. After that, the speedrunner says this.
What am I gonna do about my time?
What am I gonna do about my time? At which point, the speedrunner is led by Herobrine to a structure I have never seen before, a time machine. So they go inside of this structure, their timer disappears, they got a goofy video effect on the screen, and now their timer is reset to 0. Even then, with all of this cheating and being so bad at the game, having this wildly overpowered sword, the speedrunner still cannot kill the Ender Dragon. Yeah, it flies away before they can get anything more than 2 hits in on it. So the speedrunner hands over Axe body spray to Herobrine, at which point Herobrine is flying around in the sky, chasing down the dragon like Tom and Jerry, and the speedrunner beats the game in 44 seconds. I don't know what it is, but that wee gets me every time. Now listen, before I start this next speedrun, I'm just gonna preface by saying I am terrified. They're playing in windowed mode. They're speedrunning Minecraft 1.7. They've got a mini-map on the screen. These are red flags. This guy is up to no good. As soon as I start the speedrun, they are already on their way into the nether. Okay, I'll just roll with this. Let's see what happens. Their computer must be a potato PC because it just takes such a long time to load. When the speedrunner is in the nether, even though they're in survival mode, they are flying around, which I have no idea how, but they come across this chest. And in the chest, they find an M42 nuclear catapult. This one was legit. I am not messing with this speedrunner. The speedrunner spawns into their world, and they are selecting the last slot in their inventory. As well, they're in creative mode. Buddy, how obvious can you be? They even approach this tree and break it in creative mode. Then they realize, oh, darn it. Okay, no one's gonna believe this. I'm gonna have to reset everything. So there's a sudden cut. They have a block of wood in their inventory. They go up to the tree again. They're still in creative mode. So they break the grass beneath them, put the block away, and then with no cuts whatsoever, they put themselves back into survival mode, and now the speedrun begins. Yeah, this is gonna be painful to watch. So the speedrunner breaks the tree in front of them, getting 2 logs, and when they turn around, there is a ruined nether portal directly behind them. At which point, the speedrunner says something very suspicious.
Wait. If my calculations are correct, the chest should be right here.
If my calculations are correct, the chest should be right in here. This guy is full of baloney. I don't know why a chest would be behind dirt blocks. That is just ridiculous. Yeah, so they find a chest, and there is a lot of stuff in it. A golden sword with more enchantments on it than I have videos posted on my YouTube channel. Enchanted golden apples, armor, a flint. So they get their loot, and come on, are you kidding me? There's a village right next to them too? This is very unbelievable, but you know what? I'm gonna give them a chance here. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think I've ever seen a staircase like this in a village house, but I could just be acting paranoid. I'm honestly not sure now. They go into this house, they get spruce logs, potatoes, bread. So with some of these new materials the speedrunner found, and after breaking some beds, they make a crafting table, they make an iron pickaxe, and they make a shield. Then the speedrunner says this.
I think we have to mine down, guys, to get stone.
I think we gotta mine down so we can get some stone. Yeah, you know what? That seems pretty reasonable. Nothing conspicuous about that. Yeah, it's Diamond Palooza over here. This is not possible. Sorry to burst your bubble. So the speedrunner uses their newfound diamonds to make a diamond helmet and a diamond chest plate, and leggings, and booties. At which point, the speedrun footage suddenly cuts. It says set own game mode to survival, and there is suddenly 2 iron golems in front of them. Out of nowhere, the speedrunner has the strength status effect, and they one-shot both of these iron golems with their bare hands. So the speedrunner uses their new iron to craft a bucket, even though they already had a bucket. Yeah, this is definitely one of the sloppiest fake speedruns I have ever witnessed. Well, it doesn't matter. The show must go on. The speedrunner goes back to the ruined nether portal. They place their single obsidian block in the portal. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure what they were intending here. You are not gonna believe what happens. Let me just show you. Yeah, the footage is cut to them having obsidian blocks in their inventory, and they're just building a nether portal. But the speedrunner, even though they are cheating, still does not understand what the correct shape of a nether portal is. Buddy, there is a big difference between a square and a rectangle. I'm just putting that out there. Also, who is Cleesus?
Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Who in the world is Cleesus? Okay, yeah, this is painful. So the speedrunner fixes their nether portal, they light it, and now they're entering the nether. Everything seems normal. They're walking around, they're trying to find something. Maybe a nether fortress, maybe a bastion, right? Until you hear them say this.
Jesus Christ, John, I thought you knew where the bastion was.
Yeah, now I got some serious questions. Who is John? Well, after exploring for a while, the speedrunner reaches a dead end, and in their frustration, they say this.
If you can't do it, I will. Can I make this look real?
Yeah, if you can't do it, I will. So the speedrunner is typing /game mode creative, but the footage cuts to behind the scenes footage that I don't think we were meant to see. Yeah, the speedrunner is in spectator mode, floating around trying to find a nether fortress.
Oh, it's literally right here. What are you doing, John?
Whispering under his breath, what are you doing, John? I don't think that part was meant to be in the final cut. There is another sudden cut. The speedrunner digs down, and they drop right into a blaze spawner. The speedrunner kills 1 blaze, they get 3 blaze rods. This is very outlandish. They kill a second blaze, they get 3 more blaze rods. And 6 blaze rods is more than enough. In fact, it's perfect. But the speedrun cuts to this hulking mass of blaze rods directly in front of them. Come on, buddy. But it gets worse. When they turn around, there is an army of blaze in front of them. Alright, so the speedrunner gets as many blaze rods as they could possibly desire. And if I fast forward the speedrun here, here, you can see that not walking a very long distance, they are able to find a bastion very quickly. So the only thing I can comment about this is that this seed must be very, very lucky. At this point, we are just about to witness the speedrunner getting very frustrated about being unable to make a crafting table.
I've done so. Guys, so we need to get in there. Oh, and then the crafting table. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, crafting dysfunction. It happens to the best of us, buddy. The speedrunner puts themselves into creative mode, angrily muttering under their breath about John.
Jesus Christ, Michael, can't do. You do one gosh dang job. Flip. I can't speak. Oh, where's the flip? How'd you get in? How'd you get in? Hey guys, we found the gold blocks. This is gonna be easy peasy speedrun.
And then, yeah, just like that, out of nowhere, the footage is cut and they're in the bastion. So the speedrunner mines these golden blocks, and then after exploring more of the bastion, they find a piglin to trade with. They give this piglin 81 gold ingots, and the speedrunner gets 80 ender pearls in return for their trade. And let's be real here, we know this is extremely fake. I'm not even gonna waste my time doing the math here. This percentage, that percentage, this guy is a phony baloney. The percentages do not matter. The speedrunner tries making blaze powder. I don't even think they know how to do that. And you can see in their inventory, they have 4 blocks of obsidian right now. But then there is an extremely sudden cut. They have a full stack of obsidian, and now they're making a nether portal. After creating this nether portal, they go into their inventory trying to find a flint and steel, and just listen to this freak out where they think they don't have flint and steel, but they do. It's just goofy.
Okay, skit! Oh, I do. Okay.
All right, well anyways, the speedrunner lights the nether portal. They return to the overworld. Somehow, by some miracle, they find a way to create blaze powder, and they make their eyes of ender. Now that the speedrunner has eyes of ender, all they need to do is throw the ball in the sky and follow their balls. But the speedrunner says this.
Okay, we just need some triangulation.
They need to do some triangulation. Now, for anyone who isn't aware, that is actually a professional speedrunning strategy. And it's not important because this guy tries to do it, and it is the funniest thing in the world. They start changing the brightness in their game. They open up the Minecraft store by accident. They change their field of view.
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna use some triangulation here. If I throw this pearl. Oh, yeah. 3 plus 45. Okay.
And then, yeah, they say 30 plus 45. Okay. Yeah, that math checks out. That sounds about right. Sounds like triangulation to me. You know, isosceles, obtuse, right angle. Yeah, triangulation. Then the speedrun footage cuts to more behind the scenes footage that I don't think was meant to see the light of day. I know this is painful. I know it's difficult to get through, but the speedrunner gets into the village. They toss an eye of ender and it goes down. So naturally, the speedrunner begins digging down to reach the stronghold, right? Well, the next series of events are so confusing. I'm gonna need someone to help me to understand here.
Oh yeah, guys, there's a new method where I found. You can literally just mine all the way down with one punch. With your fist. Oh, look. Oh my gosh, guys, it's working. Oh, we're gonna die!
That voice crack was priceless.
Relish. Oh my gosh.
Yes, the speedrunner dies by accident. At which point there is another cut. They have tons of stuff in their inventory, and they're suddenly back in the stronghold with pants in their hands. Well, the speedrunner finds the portal room, they fill the portal with eyes, and they enter the end. Hang on a second though, why are they just standing there? Yeah, I guess the speedrunner's taking a moment for some deep breathing exercises. Or he's stalling. There's only one way to find out. The speedrunners, in the end, they're doing fantastic. They're breaking the crystals and they die. And after billions of sudden cuts, oh my goodness, is that Herobrine? Yeah, that is a floating armor stand with Minecraft Steve's face on it.
No way, guys, it's not Herobrine. It's Herobrine. No way, Herobrine. No way. Oh my gosh, guys, Herobrine's gave me creative mode.
The speedrunners given creative mode, they are flailing like a fish out of water. With all this cheating, they are still unable to kill the dragon, even with Minecraft Stove helping them. And yeah, just like that, they beat the game. I have a migraine now. I'm gonna go take a nap.
We did it. I got COVID.
This speedrunner spawns right in front of a village. You will not believe it. The player is walking towards the village. Fantastic spawn. Then they say this.
Strong focus on what I want.
And wow, face to face with a golem. This speedrunner's got some real gabagools on them. They say I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. They kill the golem and get iron ingots. And then at a world record pace of 20 seconds, they dance with the iron ingots, craft it into a water bucket. And I personally have never seen this technique before in Minecraft speedrunning. They throw their water bucket at a lava pool, and holy cow, it turns into a nether portal. That was amazing. So the speedrunner enters the nether at a world record pace of 30 seconds. And then from there, they use never before seen techniques to traverse across the nether, and the speedrunner literally falls into a nether fortress.
My back!
How lucky is that? This speedrunner is so good, they are killing the wither and the blaze without even needing to touch them. How is this possible? I don't know. They get their blaze rod and sprint back to their nether portal. And from there, now that the speedrunner is in the overworld, somehow, I don't know how, someone's gonna have to explain this to me so my peanut-sized brain will be able to understand. They summon a stronghold in the middle of the sky. The speedrunner explores the stronghold with just so much swagger. The speedrunner says door, the door opens. Then they find the portal room and oh my goodness, it's a 12-eye? That is unbelievably lucky. So they jump into the portal, entering the end. The speedrunner breaks the end crystals, and with the power of James Brown, they defeat the Ender Dragon.
Now dig on this.
Now wait a second though, what does that mean? Dig on this? They're somehow turning back their speedrun timer. How is this possible? And just like that, the speedrunner beats Minecraft in a world record 1 minute and 0.78 seconds. And no, this was not the wrong footage. This speedrun is definitely promising. They're in survival mode, nothing fishy going on here. There is a CapCut watermark on their screen, and they are playing in windowed mode, which definitely makes me doubt if they are a true gamer. Who plays in windowed mode? Come on. But the speedrunner does say this before they begin speedrunning.
This is not fake. Trust me.
Yeah, this is not fake. I'm sorry, but if anyone says trust me, I'm automatically not gonna trust them. As soon as the speedrun starts, their timer starts at 1¼ seconds. Why it doesn't start at 0, I don't know. So the speedrunner jumps down, taking tons of damage, and they immediately start attacking this iron golem, and then they die. But you know, it's fine, their timer's still going. When they respawn, it's very clearly cut because they've already taken damage, they already have experience points. Oh brother. So the speedrunner begins attacking the iron golem again, and they die again. Whoop-de-doo, I am not surprised by that. Again, there's another very sloppy cut. The speedrunner cannot spawn at an angle like this. Why are they cutting the footage? Also, I gotta say, while they are breaking this wood, I love how they have the most dramatic cinematic music playing in the background.
Alright, here we go. Hurry!
You're breaking wood, buddy. This is not anything earth-shattering. Anyways, the speedrunner creates a crafting table. Then the speedrunner creates a wooden axe. But while they're doing that, take a look at the top left corner of their screen. Their speedrun timer is not actually a real timer. It's just a screen recording of a YouTube video of a speedrun timer. So every time their speedrun timer gets to 1 minute, they just replay the same screen recording every minute. This is so goofy. I cannot bring myself to believe that this is real. Anyways, the speedrunner jumps back down, they start attacking the golem again, and after showing their lovely skill and agility by missing the golem, and surprisingly not dying, they do actually end up killing the golem. But as soon as they drop down to pick up their 4 iron ingots, there is the most obviously hilarious cut, where after the cut, there's just this sloppy pile of random nonsense in front of them on the ground, and they didn't even take the time to cut out the segment where they're switching to survival mode. So yeah, they got iron ingots, they got a netherite sword, a netherite chestplate, and eyes of ender. Oh my Lanta, you're not fooling anybody. Well, the speedrunner tosses one of their eyes of ender, and then they approach this large pile of hay. After breaking 2 blocks of hay, you can hear them slamming on their laptop keyboard, switching into creative mode.
But first, we need to get some hay bales.
And I guess they just forgot to cut this part out where they're shamelessly in creative mode, giving themselves a stack of hay. All the while, their speedrun timer has reset and it's now just showing YouTube. And it's like they're following a script. He goes right back into it saying, okay guys, we got our hay bales.
Alright guys, we just collected the hay bales.
This is probably some of the worst editing I have ever seen, ever. Well, their 1 minute speedrun timer is back on the screen. They throw another eye of ender and all of a sudden the speedrun footage is just in fast forward motion while the timer is still going at the same pace. The speedrunner approaches a tree with beehives on it and they start attacking the beehives. Why? I do not know. I cannot tell you. They get very close to dying until there is just another shameless cut where the hive is gone, the bees are gone, they're in creative mode, and there's more netherite gear just hanging out on the ground chilling. While the speedrunner goes back into survival mode, revealing that they have 1.5 hearts, and then they're back on their script. But their game audio is so loud, you can't hear a single word that they are saying. It is hilarious.
Oh my god! Oh, look at it!
I am so genuinely confused. The speedrunner then puts down a crafting table and they start making bread in the slowest way possible. This is so wildly inefficient, but okay, let him cook. And then I guess to make up for the fact that he just wasted so much time being inefficient about crafting bread, the video is sped up again. They go into creative mode, throwing tons of eyes of ender. Then finally they break down and start typing the /locate command. Yeah, that's when you know you are desperate. They type in stronghold, but the game is saying there is no structure. Then they type in end portal. This speedrunner just cannot win. When is he gonna catch a break? The guy is throwing so many eyes of ender, it has become an ASMR video at this point. Until finally the speedrunner strikes gold. They realize, okay, I must be directly above the stronghold. They go back into survival mode and just resume their goofy script, acting like none of that ever happened.
Alright guys, somebody...
Hang on a second though, what in tarnation just happened? They were digging down, they were clearly right above the stronghold, then all of a sudden there's this random cut. It's the next day, and they have end portal frames in their inventory. Unfortunately, this segment was cut out of the speedrun. What happened in between? We are gonna go the rest of our lives never knowing. Well, anyways, the speedrunner creates the end portal, filling it with eyes, and they enter the end. And I'm not sure how or why, but when they get into the end, they full screen Minecraft. Buddy, you couldn't have done that like 5 minutes ago? This is probably one of the most cursed things I've ever experienced. Building up onto the top of the island with end portal frames. Like a true beginner, the speedrunner just starts looking at all of the endermen, and their game audio is so loud compared to their microphone audio that you can just hear their muffled screams underneath the yelling of the endermen.
Oh, why are there endermen? Oh my god.
And with barely half a heart left, they panic and give themselves creative mode. Now that the speedrunner's in creative mode, they're just flying around willy-nilly, breaking all the end crystals. You cannot hear a single thing. Their game audio is cranked up to 11 with the bass boosted to 25.
Are you enderman? I'm just trying to... This is the fastest speedrun.
And after they finish destroying all the end crystals, they shamelessly give themselves a water bucket, go into survival mode, and then they even have the gabagools to set their world spawn. So the speedrunner tries jumping off of the obelisk and doing a water bucket clutch, and they die. No surprise there. Now hang on a second, after they respawn, the set world spawn command didn't even work. If I go frame by frame, they clearly spawn in the overworld. So now the speedrunner is magically back in the end. They put themselves into survival mode and they pick up all of the items that they lost when they died. Well, this is it. No more fooling around. The speedrunner is locked and loaded. They're on their way to the Ender Dragon to destroy this thing legitimately. And they're in creative mode again. Just spamming beds, and their game audio is so loud that you cannot hear a single thing. It is hilarious. After the Ender Dragon dies by completely natural causes, the speedrunner puts themselves back into survival mode, and you know what? What's a creative mode? I didn't see anything fishy about this speedrun. The beginning of this speedrun seems very, very legitimate. Loading screen looks good, they got a timer, they load into their world, they're selecting the first slot, but if we zoom out here, come on, they're not looking straight ahead, which is a major red flag. The speedrunner spawns directly in a village, and they immediately enter one of the houses. Inside inside opening a chest, and yeah, it's very clear that the speedrun is fake. What is with fake speedrunners? He cleanly separated the cobblestone evenly into two. So yeah, I'm aware this speedrun is fake. It's just so funny that I had to show it to you. After the speedrunner gets their very legitimate loot, there is a very sudden cut. Even though the timer is exactly the same, they've lost a ton of hunger and they have 2 hearts. So what in the world happened in between? I don't know. And I'm pretty confused here because they have full diamond gear. Why are they going up to this tree and breaking it? And that's when you hear the speedrunner say this.
This is the best tree in the game.
This is the best tree in the game. Well, come on, what are you talking about? Why is this the best tree in the game? Come on, buddy, are you serious? What in tarnation? Yeah, the best tree in the game miraculously dropped obsidian and flint and steel. I think I missed a few updates, guys, I don't know. Well, after the speedrunners encounter with the best tree in the game, they approach this pig and they start hitting it. Until again, there is another abrupt cut with no change to their timer, and when they turn around, there is a stack of cooked chicken in front of them. First off, was 3 pork not enough? Second off, chicken and pig are 2 completely different things. Well, after this strange string of events, the speedrunner then moves on to building their nether portal. But unfortunately, this is just another speedrunner who does not understand the shape of a rectangle. They actually go inside this thing and light it with flint and steel. What in tarnation? And you could hear the speedrunner say this.
Frick, screwed it up again.
Yeah, I screwed it up again. How much time has this guy been wasting building nether portals? Well, there's another cut. It's nighttime. They turn around and they figured out what a rectangle looks like. So they light their nether portal and they enter the end. I mean, the nether. Oops. At which point, there is no loading screen. There's just another abrupt cut. The speedrunner is floating around in the nether like a goofy goober in creative mode, and you can hear him say this.
This isn't cheating. This is just helping out the speedrunner.
This isn't cheating. This is just helping out the speedrunner. Buddy, do you think we just blew in from Stupid Town? This is cheating. Well, after wasting tons of time, the speedrunner does find a nether fortress. I'm not sure how the speedrunner does not die to these blaze, because he just stands in front of them point blank and whacks at them like no tomorrow. Has this guy never played Minecraft before? Oh my goodness. By some miracle, they don't die. They get 3 blaze rods, and then they dig underneath the stairs, and they find even more blaze rods hidden away. Oh yeah, this is the handiwork of Mr. Blaze. Yeah, he always hides blaze rods underneath the stairs. Well, anyways, there is another sudden cut. When the speedrunner turns around, there are just tons of piglin hanging out in a hole, just sitting there. And when the speedrunner drops into that hole, they pick up a slew of random items. Gee, I wonder if they have enough ender pearls. Well, that all happened very quickly. So the speedrunner builds another nether portal, and they return to the overworld. But once they are in the overworld, they start talking about triangulation, and now I have anxiety, considering some of the other fake speedrunners I have seen have no clue what triangulation even means.
We're about to start the epic triangulation strat. I heard if you hyperventilate, it makes you run faster in Minecraft. And we arrived at the stronghold, just like that. 2 minutes on the clock.
And yeah, just like that, the speedrunner found the portal room. What in tarnation? So they fill the portal with eyes, and then they say this.
We got a little bit of extra eyes of Ender.
Yeah, they just have a few extra eyes of Ender, just a few. Yeah, just chuck those out, no big deal. Once they are in the end, there is no loading screen. They're in creative mode, and then they provide a very dramatic and fake reaction to being in creative mode, followed by this cinematic music just randomly starts playing.
Yo, wait guys, no way! Dude, there's a new glitch in the game. We can get creative mode when we fight the dragon, dude.
What is with fake speedrunners and this goofy cinematic music? While the speedrunner is just floating around like a goober breaking the end crystals, the cinematic music has a pause. You can very clearly hear that they are just playing 2 music tracks at the same time. It is so goofy.
Let's go. Sub 4 minutes, let's go.
And I'm sorry, but I must be so unobservant. I just noticed now, when did their timer start going backwards? I feel so stupid. Well, it's honestly good news to see that their timer is going backwards, because this guy wastes so much time trying to figure out how to kill the Ender Dragon with a command. It is just sad. And yeah, just like that, the speedrunner beat the game at 3 minutes and 16 seconds. And I honestly just find it so funny how they now have 3 songs playing at the same time. The credit music, this goofy cinematic song, and the stupid dream speedrun music.
I'm so glad. 57 more minutes.
Don't let this guy edit your videos, that's all I'm saying. This speedrun starts off on the world selection screen, and we could see 2 new save files hanging out on their screen. Speedrun moment or renew and never mind. I don't even know, should I even say that? Well, the speedrunner creates their new world, putting their difficulty into easy mode, which as far as I know is okay. But what's not okay is them enabling cheats. And then when they go on to create their world, Minecraft gives them an error saying these settings are using experimental features. So now I'm kinda scared. What exactly are we about to witness here? Regardless, their loading screen does look normal. They spawn in and everything is as expected here. They spawn in front of some cows, they hit some cows, they get some beef. They actually spawn right in front of a pillager outpost and next to a village, which is very lucky, especially for random seed. So the speedrunner starts approaching this village. On their way to the village though, they just waste so much time trying to kill this chicken, and wow, this guy has horrible aim, almost as bad as the other speedrunner in this video. I mean, come on buddy, how difficult is it to hit a chicken? Well, thank goodness the speedrunner does eventually reach the village. While they are in the water, they take a screenshot by accident. I don't know if it was by accident or if they just thought underwater looked pretty. And once in the village, everything looks normal. The speedrunner enters a house, they break a bed, but hang on a second. When they're approaching this next house, the door is already open. And as far as I know, villagers always close the door behind them. So what in tarnation is going on here, buddy? There's only one way we're gonna find out. Never mind, it's just a load of apples. Nothing unusual here. But hang on a second, what is the speedrunner doing? They're just sitting there, wasting tons of time. Until eventually, after wasting almost an entire minute, there is a very abrupt cut where it says set own game mode to survival, and the speedrunner picked up those 8 apples. But hang on a second, what is this in their inventory? I am pretty sure this is not a vanilla item. Well, I don't know, there's only one way we're gonna figure out what in tarnation this item is. So the speedrunner closes the chest, they break this bed, they go into another house, they break another bed. All normal things that would happen in a speedrun here. Until the speedrunner enters this one particular house, they approach this chest, they decide to start breaking it. And tell me if you notice what just happened. I'll play it again and tell me if you see it. Okay, you still didn't see it? I'm gonna go frame by frame here. After the chest is broken, there is everything you'd expect coming out of it. Some bread, maybe some grass seed, the chest itself. What is that? I am so confused. I want to know what this item is. Hey, wait a second, what is this hole? Oh my goodness. That was just about the smoothest transition I have ever seen in my entire life. Are we still even in Minecraft? What is happening here? Yeah, this definitely looks like Minecraft. Is this Skyblock? Guys, I think I missed a few updates here. This is crazy. Minecraft has guns now. It's gory. Wheels is playing Counter-Strike 2. I'm sorry, Minecraft has a grappling hook now? What in tarnation? Alright, I'm gonna be honest, this game actually seems very cool. Can someone in the comments please tell me what this is? After the speedrunner gets a combo of which, if I said this word, I'd probably get demonetized, they suddenly just wake up in the portal room in the stronghold with tons of ender pearls and tons of blaze rods. But that does not help the fact that this guy doesn't even know how to craft blaze powder. Well, they do figure out how to make blaze powder, then they craft Eyes of Ender, and they fill the portal, entering the end. There's not that much more to this speedrun. I just thought that transition was really crazy, and I thought that game that they were playing was interesting, because the rest of this speedrun is really just them going into creative mode and unleashing a rampage on the Ender Dragon. Until they die. Yeah, I don't think anybody taught this guy how to use beds in the end. Rookie mistake. And this speedrunner is just back on their nonsense again. And then they die again. But I guess the Ender Dragon died too, so they beat the game, right? In totally world record time. I am not messing with this guy. That was legitimate.